No Man's Sky sucks. Um. Oh no. Yeah, I was kind of thinking maybe I'll just do a little rant about No Man's Sky and use that for my review because I didn't do a weekend review for that. I just been kind of thinking about it. I mean, there's nothing really new from the other days, really. The game is about as deep as a shallow puddle after a rainstorm. You go from planet to planet that is quote-unquote procedurally generated. You mine some resources. You talk to very much the same people. You possibly get some somewhat cryptic clues about, you know, your purpose or the purpose of the alien life forms. And you move on. You collect more resources. You find fuel for your ship. You find minor upgrades for your ship or your little tool. And everything with the multi-tool thing, it's all cosmetic type stuff. They all have the basic same functionality. They shoot lasers that mine for stuff. Or they shoot bolt casters, which is just, you know, like a gun. It's just like a gun. You shoot bullets at things. You can have a grenade launcher attachment to them. And they all, no matter how different they may look, they all have the same functionality. You can't expand upon it, like I said, with those add-ons, but, you know, whatever. It's still mine, shoot, essentially. Each area, each planet has a bunch of different buildings that are all very, very much the same. Some of which have, like, one person in them at a time. Some of them have no people in them. Some of them have puzzles in them, which are very, very, very similar between all of the ones that have puzzles. It's permutations, like, it's like, if the number's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, what's going to be the next number of the sequence? Stuff like that. It's super easy stuff. There are a couple variations of that. Not many, though. They are few and far between, and they don't get any harder than that, really. The AI is next to non-existent, I feel like. There's no predator-prey system at work on the planets. Aggressive animals will go after you and nothing really else. Timid creatures will run away from you and, you know, give a very similar squeak between them all. Sometimes you'll hear the bellowing of larger animals off in the distance when you're on a planet, walking around collecting the same materials time and time again. But you never see any of those. They don't actually exist. You could scan every animal and plant life on the planet, and you'll never see the source of those background bellowing noises. I'm annoying. The AI for the dogfights is about as bad as the AI for the animal life on the planets. They just kind of circle around, they shoot you, and you shoot them until one of you two dies, usually them. There's no real tactics going on. It's not something cool like Dangerous or Colony Wars. It's incredibly disappointing, really. Let's see, what else is there? Yes, for all these, you know, diverse planets and such, there are no gas planets. The gravity on all planets is the same. The weather system is... It exists, is about the best thing I could say about it, but there's no thunder, there's no lightning. You seek shelter to avoid anything, and shelter is a very loose sense of the word here, too, because shelter could mean anything from a little arc above your head, a little arch just, you know, right above your head, that doesn't really... shouldn't protect you from, like, a radiation storm, but apparently it does. It's weird. It's a very weird system. There is wind, but it doesn't really have an impact on anything besides blowing the grass-like plants around a bit. All those resources I mentioned that you mine for on each planet are identical. Plutonium is always going to be plutonium, excuse me, is going to be a spiky red ore coming out of the ground. Gold's always going to be, you know, gold in color and usually in a big sphere or ball on the planet. I believe it's copper that usually appear in elongated spheres floating above the ground for some reason. That's another thing. The physics system in this game is incredibly weird, almost to the point of why even bother. If you destroy, say, a pillar of a material, say it's a 2-story tall pillar of a certain material, you take out the middle of it, the top part will just float. bits and pieces of it will just float in the air. None of it really matters. It just, if you park your ship on top of something and you can't, say, jetpack up to it, well, you're screwed because you can't deform the terrain to have that ship fall down to your level. You have to go find a beacon on foot at a station to summon your ship back to you. Did I say plane? I meant ship. If I said plane, I apologize. You know what I meant. There just isn't much to care about in No Man's Sky. Certainly not for $60 damn worth. Especially if you're looking to get it on the PC, which has been a technical nightmare for most people. The launch day had some issues where people couldn't even launch. They addressed that. Supposedly, some people are still having problems with that. But even then, once in the game, it seems like the game is CPU bound. Heavily. Very heavily. There will be hitching and frame rate drops for no discernible reason whatsoever. The game isn't exactly a looker. So I would assume it's only coming about really when there is some procedural generation event going on behind the scenes, which actually it's not behind the scenes because you can often see the world kind of rendering right before your eyes, even on the highest graphical settings. Textures are terrible. I understand that perhaps I'm being a bit too harsh on this game. It is an indie game. It's made by a very small studio. I believe there's only about under 20 people. I know it's under 20 definitively, but there's really no excuse, especially after the game was promised to have the only way you could see yourself or know what you look like is by running into people, other people, and having them describe your appearance to you. That's horseshit. There's no multiplayer in this game whatsoever. The extent of the multiplayer in this game is that you can name planets, you can name animals, you can name, I believe, plants. If nothing else, definitely plants, or definitely animals. I don't know, I never actually tried to name a plant, because it's a plant, and they all look the same, and they all give you carbon. Outside the ones that give you zinc, because those are all the same on every planet as well, throughout the entire galaxy. It's disappointing. It's a disappointing game. I would like to believe that I greatly ignored or didn't buy into all the hype that the game had produced in the months and months and months ahead of release, but it still definitely comes across as being a disappointing game. Whether you are hyped for it or not, it's not worth $60. It may not even be worth $30. $20 perhaps, sure. But there's just so much there's so much potential in this game. So very much potential. Like, there was almost a moment the other day where I'm playing it after saying, wow, this game sucks, where I just almost clicked, like, it could be good. It could be a good game. But it's not. It seems like it could possibly be one of those games where you sit down for just a little bit of time, at least in my experience, every, I don't know, a few weeks, every couple of months when you're bored, you're like, I just want to do something that's maybe a little bit relaxing. And you pick up No Man's Sky, you toss it in, you play for a little bit, you explore maybe a planet, maybe two if you're feeling a little saucy. And you're just like, yeah, I'm good. I'm done. I don't need to play this again for a very long time because it's just going to be the same experience over and over and over again. I would like to say that I wish the procedural generation took it many, many, many steps further. Like I said, all the planets boil down to you have a lot of landmass that is badly textured. Some of them may have some water-like areas. I don't want to definitively say that it is water because, you know, alien planets and all that. All the important resource plants will be identical across every planet, which is just bizarre to me. Every building and structure are either identical or incredibly similar with only a couple variations between each planet. Same deal with space stations. Or a non, what is it? It's not a space station, but there is another thing that, you know, goes around that is similar to space stations. Story related, sort of, if you follow any of these story branches, or you can just free roam around from system to system if you so desire. But yeah, lack of multiplayer outside of being able to name planets and have other people see those names. Lack of diverse planet creations. Like I said, there's no gas planets, no gas giants. There's no planets with rings. And bizarrely, speaking of rings, every single planet has a bunch of just rocks floating around it in space. It's also another important resource that you have to gather. Thamium, something like that, is a fuel that you'll be making use of quite extensively. And it's just the weirdest damn thing. Every planet and in all the systems are in a line, essentially. There's no orbiting going on there. You can't fly to the star in any of the systems because the star and the background stars are just that background skybox, basically. It's a skybox. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen this do... I mean, it's already done well because people bought into it and people pre-ordered it. But I would have loved to have seen something actually good have come from this, and this isn't it. This is about it's a solid 2 out of 5 game, because I could see that little bit of, yeah, okay, this is kind of cool, exploring some of this stuff, but then you get to that point, you're just like, it's the same thing over and over and over again, and you can kind of make the argument that, well, what about Destiny? Isn't Destiny just doing the same things over and over and over again? Sort of, yes. Definitely, actually. The difference here is that the mechanics in Destiny are good. The things that you are doing over and over and over again in Destiny are good. The shooting in Destiny, phenomenal. Some of the best gunplay mechanics in this or in last generation. Tremendous. Great stuff. Not gonna lie. Nothing really holds up to keep you compelled to keep playing No Man's Sky like Destiny's gunplay does. There's no hook. There's nothing that No Man's Sky does better than anything else. It's mediocre across the board, and in some areas, many areas, it's well below the mediocre mark. If you're interested in playing No Man's Sky, wait, hold off, stop. PS4 suffers from 30 FPS max. PC would probably be the way to go, but not right now. And no matter what, no matter what platform you decide to go on, $60 is way too much for that game. I'd say wait for at least 50% off, if not more. If you think you're going to get $60 worth out of it, hey, by all means, don't let me stop you. Don't let my opinion stop you. But I don't see it. I'm not seeing it. I'm not feeling it. It's a very, very disappointing game. The PC version, like I said, is there any technical issues right now? Starting out of nowhere. Very CPU intensive. Some people are able to run it just fine, which, hey, good for them. But many, 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 many people are reporting quite the opposite. And it's incredibly disheartening and sad to hear. I am certainly one of those people that have the random stuttering, where otherwise the frame rate seems to be pretty smooth. Yeah, skip it if you have to, or if you can. Wait for it to go on sale. But like I said, the PC version, probably, if they can iron out these issues, will be the way to go if you still want to pick this game up. I believe there's going to be mod support or something. I mean, granted, they said, I think, at one point that they want to have mod support, but so long as it fits into the whole narrative or something, or their idea for No Man's Sky, they want to make sure that it works with that. But then again, they also said there's going to be multiplayer, which I'm not harping on this game for not having multiplayer. I'm harping on them for lying to people about it. It's kind of inexcusable, really. Shawn Murray seemed like a really genuine, really, happy-go-lucky, cheerful guy, but don't bullshit people. Yeah? That kind of needs to stop, huh? I don't know. Maybe people wouldn't have been so hyped or so anticipated for this if you didn't bullshit people. But you did. And expectations were destroyed because of that. You got them real inflated, and people were very disappointed when they found out the truth. Yeah. But like I said, that's honestly the least of this game's problems. The shallow, unrewarding, boring game. With just the slightest bit. Slightest, little, tiniest nugget of light. Where, for a brief moment, you might have fun. But that fun is going to be fleeting. So... Anyway, this is my impromptu. I'm sure I'm going to think of more things to complain about with No Man's Sky. Oh, I did, actually. Changing video settings on the PC requires a restart every time. Super annoying. I believe that there are only a couple of video options, such as the AF, anisotropic filtering, and maybe one more that do not require a restart. So if you're going to change anything, make sure you hit up a save point first. Because if you don't, and you start your game, and then you switch something, you'll just start on a new planet all over again, and your progress will be lost. As happened to me. That was cool. So yeah, that was my impromptu, off-the-cuff review, air quotes there, of No Man's Sky, because I didn't do a weekend review thing. So I'm gonna cut this part out. I'm going to slap it up on YouTube. I'm going to link it at Total Gaming Network, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, whatever. You'll probably just look at the score anyway, because that's what people do. And they'll be like, why did he score at a 2 out of 5? And yes, it will be a 2 out of 5. That's possibly being as generous as I can be to this game right now. Maybe I'll come back to it in, like, a year or something, when it's had its time to, you know, not be completely fucking broken. Maybe? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not gonna hold out hope though. So. Alright, this has been Zips for Total Gaming Network and CS Nation. Thanks for listening to that. I'm gonna keep playing some WoW here. A game where I am rewarded for grinding. And, oh, yes. If you're expecting the planets to have different biomes, each planet is a biome. You know, if I want different biomes and such like that, I'll go play, you know, games that do it better. Much better. Here's one planet. You know how many different biomes are on this damn planet? A shitload. Each one of these is basically a different climate, environment, etc. There's snow, there's tropical areas, there's fucking riding on a turtle at some point. I mean, for God's sake, there's oceans, there's under the sea stuff, there's like mystical gardens and shit like that. One planet has all of that. One planet. Yeah. Alright, I'm done. Have a good one. Anybody who might have listened to this. I hope it was entertaining, informative, something of that nature. Who knows?